Hello there everybody, how's it going? My name is Sugru. Welcome to my guide on Guardians of the Rift. This is a guide predominantly for smaller teams, so two-mans and trios. I see a lot of them on mass worlds and bigger groups, but I prefer playing it in smaller groups myself, and there aren't really many guides that are describing good ways to do this in small groups, so this is what this guide is basically for. I've got quite a few things that I'd like to go over before I do a proper game and show you a demonstration. There's a lot of things within this game that are good to get explained and out of the way before I actually show you a playthrough, as when the playthrough is happening there is a lot going on and it can be difficult for me to describe every aspect because there is so much going on. But once you've done 3 or 4 games of this, you'll realise it is quite repetitive and there's only going to need to be small changes made to your playstyle for different games basically. So before we start anything, I'm going to show you guys a plugin for anyone using RuneLite. So if you go to the configuration here at the top right, you go to, I've already gone on it, but if you go to Plugin Hub and then you type in Guardians of the Rift, and basically you want to install the one that isn't the pyramid head logo, it's just like a plug icon. If you install that, what that will do is it will highlight the correct altar at the correct time for you, which is a lifesaver really. It's better to have it than not, put it that way. This plugin will also give you this little box up top here where it says time since portal. That's really useful. Between 110 and 115 on the portal counter, that is when a portal will spawn. I will explain portals in a little bit, but they're a pretty simple premise. Me and my friend Cole are going to do a duo and you guys will see how a game actually runs. So what you're going to need to bring with you is you're going to need a chisel, all the rune crafting pouches that you can acquire, and NPC contact, preferably in a rune pouch. If not, it doesn't really matter, you can just bring the runes as they are like this, but I have a rune pouch so I'm going to use it. And you want to be on the Lunar Spellbook for NPC contact. For anyone who doesn't know why I'm using NPC contact, your pouches will break as you use them, and if you use NPC contact and you contact the Dark Mage, he will repair your pouches for you without you having to visit him in the centre of the abyss. Can you repair my pouches? Thanks, done. And that's what you'll just have to do in the game from time to time. Your pouches will go black when this happens. So basically that's all your inventory there. For your gear, all you really need is Graceful and Fashionscape. You won't have an Abyssal Lantern, you won't have a Hat of the Eye, so yeah, just your best Fashionscape and Graceful. If you have a Varrock armour 4 or 3 from the diaries, wear that. And also you want to be bringing a rune or a dragon pickaxe. Basically you don't want to bring crystal because it'll just waste the charges and there is no real benefit to bringing crystal. So that is basically the inventory and the gear you need to bring. So next we really need to talk about the portals, as I mentioned previously. This will be easier to demonstrate when the game starts, but this timer here is for where a portal was last active. The portals will spawn south here, to the southeast here, to the southwest here, and just to the east, which is here. Now, with the timer up here, you can actually plan your game around when the portals are going to spawn. And also, if you ever see one, they will appear here as like a little yellow swirly icon. Anytime you see one, you want to go in it because it just means that you can mine essence at 5 times the speed of normal, and you can fill your rune pouches full, and it just gives you more experience and just a better game in general. I'm a firm believer with this minigame that the more portals that you get in, the better your game has gone for you, for points and everything. So that's something to bear in mind. The shards are what you acquire from mining Guardian parts now, and Guardian remains for that matter. So as you can see, when the game has started, you will come mine here if you run out of shards. That is the only time you should be coming to mine up here. Every other time there is a ladder down and you want to be mining the large Guardian remains, as you get them much quicker and you'll save more time. I will demonstrate that as I go in a solo in a moment. The Guardian Essence is what you will receive from the altars themselves. You need to use that on the Great Guardian in the middle before it will let you go back into an altar again. So it's kind of good to get in a habit of, when you leave the rune crafting altar, use your essence on the Guardian in the middle straight away, and then you can go in an altar whenever you want. And then the only other thing I'm going to discuss quickly is the rune tiers, because that's something that I'd like to just get out of the way before I get inside the minigame. So the reason there are rune tiers is because there are different tiers of cells. So there are an overcharged cell, a strong cell, a medium cell and a weak cell. Now as you can see here, when you go into the game you can take a weak cell off the bench and 10 uncharged cells. You need to have uncharged cells on you at all times within the minigame, otherwise you will not receive any overcharged, strong, medium or weak cells, which basically means you can't contribute to the minigame. So you need to make sure you've got them on you at all times. You will run out eventually. The weak cells, you only need to take 2 in the beginning of the game, and after that you don't need to worry. So that being said, Blood, Death and Fire Altar provide an overcharged cell. Now overcharged is the best one you can get, it's the one that you want to be going for as much as possible. The purpose of an overcharged is you can make the best guardians here on the left and right, and you can also power up the shield to the maximum that it can be. The one down from overcharged is a strong cell, so that's law, nature and earth. Again, you can still make a guardian with those, although it's better to make an overcharged, but if you're desperate you can, and again, put it on the front shield, it'll help. Now this is where things start to change a little bit. When you get to medium cells, which is chaos, cosmic and water, you do not want to make a guardian out of a medium cell. You only want to use the medium ones on the barriers, because medium guardians are too weak, they'll die too frequently and they'll just cause a headache basically. The same applies for weak tier. Aside from the 2 weak cells you're going to put on the barrier in the beginning, which I will explain, any other point in the game, weak cells just want to be used on the barriers or be dropped. Never use them on a guardian. So hopefully all that has made sense. Right guys, so I've sped this footage up a little bit, just so we're not here all day. So if you grab a weak cell and 10 uncharged cells from the first 2 benches where I just got them from there, and then what you're going to want to do is come to this front barrier here where we're stood, and then when the game starts, use your weak cell on the inactive cell tile. If you're doing a duo, you want to do this twice, so go back and get another one and just repeat the process. If you are in a bigger team, you one of the third person can go start mining while 2 people do that. You can decide that amongst yourselves. Head east and go down the rock ladder, I suppose, and mine the giant guardian remains. Like I said previously, if you don't have 56 agility, just go mine by the deposit pool, but for this part really, if you have 56 agility, come down here, you'll get the shards a lot faster. Obviously up top you'll get them a bit slower, but it doesn't really matter that much. Personally, I would say it's worth going to get the 56 agility, as it's a reason A, to do agility, and B, it just makes the minigame quite a lot easier. You don't have to worry too much about shards if you manage to get in all the portals and things like that. On the top left of the screen you can see the countdown timer until the game actually starts. We've got elemental, catalytic, which we need to try and keep them balanced, which I'll explain as we go. You've got the Guardian's power, we need to get that to full to win the game, and you've also got the Rune Guardians, which you can see 0 out of 4 there. So I'm going to craft a couple of essence, which you don't need to do. Just going to go in the best altar you can. So I've gone into the Earth altar to just get a strong cell, just to use on the front barrier or to make a Guardian. Like I said before, you can make a Guardian with strong or overcharged. And now overcharged altars are open, which my friend Go Slow has gone in. I've tried to get in the Death Altar here, but too slow, which can sometimes happen. But luckily for me, a portal has spawned east. So, like I said, probably try and get in a portal every time you can. On the top of the screen there, you'll see it says time since portal. So, normally a portal spawns between 110 and 120. So that's something to bear in mind. But every time you can go in a blood, fire or death altar, especially in the beginning of the game, that should be priority, because you're going to need your guardians up to defend you against the creatures, and you're also going to need to keep your front shield pretty strong. If the creatures get through the front shield, it can be a very rough time, and as far as I'm aware, I think the game does actually get harder the longer it goes on. So really you don't want to be having creatures bring your Guardian's power down once you get it to like 30%. You want to just keep pushing it upwards. So shield is very important, but you do need your Rune Guardians to protect you as well. So the whole way that we're going to be playing this is for the first half of the game, the cells are what matter, because you need to get your shield to full, you need to get all your Guardians up and running, and then after that you can start focusing on the game in a different way, which I'll explain. So as you can see now, the front shield is now at full, although we haven't really put that many overcharged on it, but that's okay. So we've got an east portal again, which we're going to go for. Like I say, if you try and go for every portal, it just means you won't eat into your shards as much, which means when you do need your shards at the end of the game, you won't need to go back and remine another 100 of them. You still might be a couple short, but it will definitely push the game on a lot faster if you just manage to get every portal. As you can see how quickly I'm obtaining essence here, it's absurd how much faster it is. So that's probably a good idea. But I'd say once you get to around 50 to 60% on the Guardian's power, by that point you should have full Guardians, you should have a full shield, and if the front shield is full, just put the cells on the other shields to the left and right of the main one. This means that no abyssal creatures can come in from the sides, which they sometimes can. A couple can overflow through the left and right, but you want your front shield to be on full before that, really. And then once you've reached this point here where we're now at about 55%, at 60% there'll be an earthquake which will damage the front shield, but only by a small amount. So what I normally tend to do is wait till about the 60%. I will, as I am doing here, go try and keep an overcharged on me for when this happens, and then I can put it straight back on the shield, or if a Guardian goes down I can bring another Guardian back up. We've had another portal spawn east, so I'm going to go for that. And then the way that you're going to play the game after you've reached this point now is it doesn't really matter anymore too much about the cells that you get from the altars. Now what really matters is that you balance your elemental and catalytic, so that at the end of the game the best position you can be in is you have 400 points in each, or you have, I think you're allowed 100 point tolerance, so you could have like 500 elemental, 400 catalytic, and that would be okay. The reason for this is because at the end of the game you will receive, say you had 400 elemental, 500 catalytic, you'll receive 5 points in catalytic and 4 in elemental, but you'll only be able to pull 4 rewards, because that's why you need to balance them out. If you received 1 in elemental and 4 in catalytic, you'd only have 1 point. That's why they need to stay balanced. So after you get past the 60% mark, that's what you really want to be doing, is just trying to keep everything balanced. As you can see in my inventory there, from going in the fire altar, it granted me a fire talisman. Talismans are really good because, as you can see, the fire altar is now constantly green, which means I can go in at any time. I don't need it to be on rotation. So these are amazing to keep in your inventory. Some of you may be thinking, why don't you just keep an overcharged cell in your inventory? Something I've learned is that it's better to use the cells every time you get one, because you get points for that. So keeping the talisman in your inventory is a good idea, because it's great for an emergency, and believe me, you can get to this point of the game and the whole game can be lost. It can happen very easily. So I tend to keep talismans in my inventory, but if I have a cell I'll try and use it up wherever possible. That's kind of my playstyle for this. But everything seems to be working as I'm showing now. We've done plenty of duos and trios and even quad groups, and things have gone absolutely fine. The biggest thing that seems to be an issue is if people have a lower rune crafting and they can't get in some of the higher altars. That doesn't mean that you can't win the game. It just means that, you know, they're going to struggle to balance their points out, but you do get a lot of XP for this at lower levels, so you can do this at like 35 rune crafting. So we've just won the game there. As you can see, I got 5 points in each, which is ideal. Go pull from the rewards pool, see what you get. Obviously you can get the abyssal needle, you can get the lantern, you can get the pearls for the outfit, you can get so much stuff. But this has been my guide on Guardians of the Rift. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you'd like to see any more guides, please let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks very much for your time. See you later.